Razaban IFL TV in association with MTK Global. With me on Zoom today, Dave Coldwell. Dave, how are we doing?
I'm all right, thank you very much. Yeah, pretty good, decent, ready to go back into the bubble.
Before we proceed about anything boxing, how's the family? I know the world's still in lockdown. We're not going to speak about all of that stuff, but just generally, family all well and safe?
Yeah, all right, thanks. Yeah, just getting on with it.
Good stuff. Dave, quite a successful night for you on Saturday night. Let's start off with Leigh Wood, teamed up with obviously Ben Davis, and a great performance, a great knockout victory, and now the British champion as well.
Yeah, I'm over the moon for Leigh. That belt means a lot to him. He's been after that belt for a long time. The whole reason for him going into the MTK tournament because he thought he was going to fight for the British title. So yeah, better late than never. But he got his opportunity, and I thought he did really well. The improvements that they're working on with Ben, you could see taking place in there, taking shape in there. And Reece Mould was a great challenger, give it everything, which is what we expected. But yeah, Leigh did a good job there.
Dave, you know, when I know you promote, you manage, you coach and train as well. So someone like Leigh Wood, who I'm sure before going to Ben may have spoken to you about that transition and that change, but were you not an option for him as well? Were you just focused on just managing him?
Just focus on managing Leigh. Yeah.
And obviously, when he fought on the Golden Contract, obviously he lost the fight. Did he feel like this was his opportunity for the British title and thought, okay, they're taking the British title away now, the British board, this is my chance going to win that British title outright?
Yeah, you know, when you're coming off he's had a good run, but then ultimately he got beat by Jazza. Sometimes you can feel as though, where am I going to go next? It's a long route back. I've got to go through all the steps again to get there. And sometimes you can, opportunities come where you can slip people in and get them a shortcut. And that's what happened. And, when he got the opportunity to fight for that title, he was 100%, no matter what it took, he was going to win that fight. So, yeah, I'm very proud of him. He's made sacrifices. He's had a very, very long, difficult sort of career. Lots of downs to go with the ups that he's had. But he's got something to show for it. He obviously won the Commonwealth title. The WBO European that he won, but he's won the British title. That's the one that he wanted, and now he's won that. Now and the passion that he won it. It puts him in good stead now to reach for higher things now, reach for higher accolades and see how far he can go with his career.
No, absolutely. Hopey Price, last minute change of opponent. I know that's not ideal. Yeah.
No.
Also wasn't ideal that Hopey's obviously joined you, becoming professional in the time of a pandemic when you're not getting enough dates, etc. So what is kind of the plan with Hopey now? Is it to fast track him? Because normally there's learning fights, but what is the plan moving forward?
These are learning fights. He's not fighting guys that aren't going to try and win. He's right from the start. He's fought guys that are throwing punches that are trying to win. Johnny Phillips came at him. This guy came at and Mendoza. We watched every single fight he's had, even the fights where he's got beat. He's throwing. But Hopey's very good. So he can take that away from him. And the problem that I had with that fight was it was last minute. It was literally the last day that we could get an opponent. Otherwise, he wasn't fighting. And it's difficult to see how tall they are and be short, but I kind of thought it would be, don't laugh. I kind of thought it was going to be my height, but as it turned out, it was smaller. It was even smaller than me. He had big hair and he was even smaller than me. Now, yeah, wow. They do exist out there. There are people out there that are a touch shorter than me. Carl Frampton. Sorry, Carl. Yeah, Spencer Oliver. But it's not often I can talk shit about I, is it? Isabel Salas. Yeah, so the problem is that he's very, very tall and he crouched down, which made him literally about 4'9", 8, and Hope is massive. So Hope is literally punching downwards, and it's very, very difficult. But he handled it well, picked out some really good counters. And the important thing for me is like what we've been working on, his inside work, his inside game, nullifying people and knowing what to do on the inside when they get in there. Because Mendoza likes to let his hands go when he gets in close, as do most Nicaraguans and Mexicans and people like that. But he nullified that, and he was very, very good, very, very effective. Experience, know a little bit more how to be a little bit more aggressive next time on the inside of it. Tall fighters, rangy fighters aren't very good on the inside, but he's developing really nicely. And it was his fourth fight. After being let down, thinking you're going to have a big local Leeds derby against a 16-1, that falls through. Then we get him another Mexican that's a very good Mexican. He's up for that. That falls through. Then a decent Mexican. That falls through. And then we get left with what's left. So I'm happy with him.
When do you anticipate Hopey to be out next?
As soon as he'll have this week off, and then he'll be back in the gym next week and ready to go again whenever Eddie can fit him on a slot. Like you said, you know, ideally he was supposed to be fighting 7 times in his first year. That went out of the window. So I just need him. He's 20 years old, but he's very, very good. I mean, you ask anybody he spars with, you know, from whether it's Jordan, Leigh Wood, Leon Woodstock, Appleyard even, you speak to people that he's been in the ring with, and he is very good, you know. And it's not when he's just very good when he's on top and he's having a comfortable spar. Ask Dominic Ingle about, you know, when Barry's in there with him and ragging him about and doing what Barry does. He's learned so much off of Barry. So, and he's got the temperament for that. So I'm over the moon with this kid. And it's like I say, it's a long-term project. And he's developing nicely.
Away from your fighters, Dave, it was a great show of boxing. I just want to go back to the chief support. We saw Zelfa Barrett versus Kiko Martinez. Seems like Kiko Martinez has been around forever. Still rugged, still strong. Scorecards.
You know what I'm going to say about Kiko Martinez, aren't you?
Shorter than you, I think.
There you go.
Already.
Do you know what? That bubble, I'm strutting around like I'm some sort of fucking giant.
Looking down on people.
Well, maybe not a giant. Maybe I just walk around feeling as I was like normal average height whenever I bump into certain people. So it's quite comfortable. No, Kiko Martinez, how many times have we said, he's old, he's finished, he's done, fucking hell, he's perfect opponent. And then he keeps coming back like a bull in a china shop. He's unbelievable, he is. Unbelievable. And I thought at that weight coming up, obviously he was most effective at super bantam, was good at feather. I thought at super feather, it might be too small. But he wasn't. It was a good fight, very good fight.
Obviously, I just want to make this very clear. Zelfa Barrett, the decision and the scorecards are obviously nothing to do with him. He can't control that. But were you shocked with the 180, 111?
Oh yeah, I think everybody is. I thought it was close. I thought Kiko nicked it or a draw. But either way, whoever you think won it, a close fight means it can go either way. A little, around here, around there. When you're talking scorecards like that, it's just like, wow, shit, that's bad. And we talk about it to death. It's not a lot of changes when we talk about it. The board will say it's subjective, which it is. Boxing is about opinions. It's about opinions. But it's like, explain. How did you come to that decision? What made you think that he won? Listen, if I have an opinion on a fight and you don't agree with it, ask in a reasonable manner. Not, this is what the fuck do you know this? I'm not talking about that. Ask, how do you have been winning it? And I'll say, I thought this. But the problem is that the judges aren't being asked these questions. So the fans aren't giving any answers, and they're just thinking, how the fuck have you got to that? It's bullshit. It's corrupt. It's house fighter. It's this, blah, blah. And it's not good for the British game. It's not good for boxing, full stop. But if you just are allowed to ask the judges how, then they'll explain, and then it's reasonable people can understand that different people see things different ways. We all have different opinions. You might like McDonald's, I don't. Do you know what I mean? It's varied, but it don't mean we're going to fall out over it. But yet, it seems in boxing or in sport, you don't agree with somebody, it's like all falling out and raging. But we have to understand that everybody has an opinion of their eyesight, their view, their line of sight, whichever side of the ring they're at. Watching it at home on TV is completely different to watching it live. So there's different reasonings for different opinions, but at least you can explain that. At least you can explain that if you're asked a question. But when you're not asked a question, there's no explanation. And so fans just think it's a load of shit.
Dave, in the past, when we get these horrible decisions, whether it's fighters, promoters, or trainers, we're kind of media savvy, and we're like, well, we have to just respect the judge's decision, and we're too kind to the judges. On Saturday night, Eddie Hearn was very, very vocal on the mic on Sky Sports. Johnny Nelson as well was very vocal. Do we now need to be more vocal? We saw Lewis Ritson and Vasquez a couple of months ago, which was horrific as well. And this wasn't like you said, Kiko might have nicked it, but if they had given it just a few rounds to Zelfa, you can accept it. But when you have it so wide, and Kiko put in so much effort, he could have just boxed off the back foot all night long, got his pay and walked away. But does it, I saw Lou DeBella tweet and say, I'm not sending my fighters there. I read today, Flora Marku in one of the interviews turned around and said, well, I think I got to knock him out because I'm not going to get the nudge here. So it gives that perception, doesn't it?
Why is Flora Marku saying that? Isn't he the home fighter? Isn't he the house fighter anyway?
I think obviously in his last fight it was a draw, wasn't it, as well? They gave it as a draw, do you remember?
Oh yeah, okay. But yeah, he was a house fighter in that. It's not so much a case of the house fighter, it's just how people are seeing things. And this is why people need to understand, how are you seeing the fight? Why are you seeing it that way? Because some people look at things differently to others, some people will prefer volume, and some people think that just because you're throwing punches, it means you're winning. Doesn't matter if it's just missing or if the other guy's blocking. They still think that that's a good shot. Still think he's scoring. Other people say no. Well, the defense is actually winning the round there because he's blocking or he's slipping. He's making the guy miss, and those 6 or 7 jabs were clean, were landing, rather than just the 2 power shots. How do you interpret the scoring? How do you see it? Do you think I see it on commentary sometimes where somebody's outboxing somebody all the way through the round, and then they get caught with 2 big punches, 2 big right hands or something, or right and left hook at the end of the round, big shot. And they're talking about the last 10 seconds as though that swayed the round. So does that mean that 2 minutes, 50 seconds of controlling the round, of boxing, is outdone by 2 heavy punches at the end of the round? You didn't go down, but you took 2 heavy punches. Heavy punches are supposed to score the same as what a jab is. That's how it's supposed to score. But we have a perception, don't we? If there's somebody rolling forward and somebody who's on the back foot, they look like they're running, then we kind of think, oh, he's under pressure. But some people prefer the boxing side of things rather than just the come forward. That's why I'm saying you kind of have to understand what the judges are looking at and what they're judging on. Because I'm not saying it's wrong. If they prefer a guy that's coming forward, fine. If they prefer a guy that's going backwards, fine, whatever. But just how are they seeing it at that time? Just explanation. And I don't get this cloak and dagger thing from the board where you're not allowed to speak to officials. Bullshit. We have to speak. Trainers, managers, promoters, fighters just giving everything. Then he sat there, he's just got beat, and he's being asked, "Oh, you know, what do you think could have happened? What could you have done differently?" And he's having to explain, or anything like that. "Oh, talk us through this knockdown shot." But a fighter that's won, emotional, and he might say something wrong, and then people are like, "Oh, you shouldn't be saying that." But they're having to speak immediately after. So why can't an official? An official has the fighter's career in their hands. An official, if you're judging, you decide whether his pay goes up the next fight or his pay goes down. You decide whether his career moves forward, stagnates, or drops. So why are you so far above the fighter that the board should say, no, you're not speaking, they're not speaking, they're not explaining themselves. It's subjective. Yes, I understand it's subjective, but let us hear their reasoning behind it. Then I ain't got a problem, because I'm a reasonable human being. If I say I think this man won, you tell me you think that man won, and we have a discussion, and I say, well, I thought this worked, and then you say, oh no, wait, I thought this worked, this, blah, blah, and that's why. I ain't gonna say, oh well, you're a twat because I don't agree with you. I'm like, oh, okay, well, we agree to disagree. But if you're just gonna stay stum, do you know what I mean? But they've got fighters' careers, they've got everybody's careers in their hands, but yet they don't have to respond to that. They don't have to answer to that.
Sticking with the judges, Dave, there's a lot of criticism in the main event, Josh Warrington against Mauricio Lara, where people feel like from the outset that he was concussed after he was knocked down. The referee has the best view and the best angle. Should the referee have stopped that fight in that situation?
That's a tough one, because go through the best fights in history. Go through after the fights that we love. My go-to fight is Gatti versus Ward. Gatti could have been stopped in that fight. He was a part of that fight where Gatti's literally in a corner and he's getting pummeled, half turning away, getting pummeled. And I think Jim Lampley says, you can stop the fight, ref. I think it was Alpha Canty or something like this. You can stop the fight. You can stop the fight. But then look at how he came back. We got drama. Look at Evander Holyfield in round 10 when Riddick Bowe does him, and he just sags and he's gone. He's absolutely gone. And then he comes back. Diego Corrales goes down twice. There are so many points in boxing where you could say, you can make a valid case for a fight being stopped. The referee has to make that call. And I understand the ref's supposed to look after the safety. I understand that. I get that. But I find it hard to do you know what it is? All it is the consistency. Because it's one thing saying, yes, allow it just to see. But then once you look like the reacting to every time we get hit, it's a little bit, I get that. Stop the fight. But the main thing is that's their opinion. They're, like you said, they're up close, they're seeing that. And I'll understand whichever way they go. You stop a fight, sometimes they stop it too early. Did they see something that we didn't see when we're sat way back here? Did they see something? So fair enough, they're looking after the fighter, fair enough. But my problem is the consistency. Would they have stopped it, or would they have let the fight go on for Lara, for any opponent? If the answer is yes, I'd let it go on, then fair enough. But would you? If the answer is that have probably stopped it, well, that's the problem, because there's no consistency there. So as far as ref's concerned, I can't be critical of what his viewpoint is, because I haven't got his viewpoint. That's his call. He's an experienced referee. That's his call. So that's that's down to him and what he sees. From where I was sat, I thought it should have been stopped. From where I was sat, when he gets up and he's tottering all about, I thought it should have been stopped. But that's what I saw. That's my opinion.
It's
but I'm not a referee.
About consistency, Dave. I saw an interview today from Mike Costello from the BBC, and said Howard Foster. All we're asking for people outside boxing and people who are involved in boxing is consistency. You know, when Howard Foster stopped George Groves against Carl Froch in the first fight, you know, this was no different to that scenario. So we're not saying whether it's right or wrong. What we're saying is be consistent with what you're doing.
Yes. So here's another thing where this might play a factor in. And George Groves. Hello, have you gone?
I can hear you, Dave. My video's gone for some reason, but you can carry on. I'm not trying to fix it.
Oh, okay. So with George Groves, when Howard Foster stopped him against Carl Froch, sat on the ring apron and said something that I think holds true. Maybe not consciously, but if you have a reputation, he said about himself, because at that point he had a reputation for being a little bit chinny. People thought they were a bit chinny, so he kind of be a bit more protective over them. It's not bad, you know. It's not a bad thing. Ref's looking after you. He's looking out for you, but it might make him sometimes make a hasty decision. If you're a fighter who we associate as being tough, got a great chin, granite chin, can't hit him, can't nail him, we tend to be more willing to see it go a little bit longer, aren't we? Give him another chance. Look, he's got a great chance. What he stopped it for? He's come back before. He's been hurt before. He's come back. So we tend to let those kind of fighters take a little bit more punishment. So was that a factor in what Howard knows about Josh Warrington? Is that he's seen him in the fights that he's had, probably refed or judged him quite a few times and seen that he takes a good shot and he's tough. Don't think he's ever been down. So maybe he thought that he can come through this, maybe. But what I'm saying is sometimes I do think maybe we tailor what we with certain fighters. It's like you can watch a slick boxer who hardly gets hit, right? And a different boxer. There's two prospects, and one's a slick boxer who doesn't get hit much, and the other guy's a come forward fighter, hands up, blocks a lot of shots, gets hit through a lot of shots. Again, I see it on commentary. People don't really talk about the fact that he's getting hit. But then the slick boxer who hardly gets caught might get caught a couple of times in a round. And it's like, oh, he's been hit. Oh, he's caught him with the right hand there. Oh, he's caught. There was one where I've heard people say, oh, he nearly got hit with that shot. Nearly got hit. We see it. We talk about fighters differently. It's not the same, because slick fighter gets hit twice, 3 times around. It's a big thing. The guy that's just walking forward and his style is to take 1 or 2 to land his own shots. You don't talk about that. Maybe that's subconsciously it's similar when you're talking about a referee and whether, you know, they're willing to see one man take more punishment than one to take like another man. You know, maybe, I don't know. Again, we have to speak to him to find out. If we're allowed to ask the ref, how come you didn't stop it? What did you see? We get answers. That's all we want. That's all we want. And I think that's fair.
Hey, where do you think went wrong for Josh Warrington? Was it? I know he was looking ahead. Gary Russell, Leo Santa Cruz. He hasn't fought for 16 months. There was no fans there. Underestimating Lara, maybe. Was it the weight? What did you think?
It could be a blend of a lot of what you've just said there. So many things. People don't understand just how weird it is boxing right now with no fans. Do you know what? There's difference between fight camp and Wembley. Big difference. Fight camp, you're all outdoors. You just seem to hear more vibrant noise, more noise. There's a drone. There just seemed to be more to it. at Wembley, it's pure silence. It's weird. It's really, really quiet. Obviously, you hear corners, but it's really, really quiet. It's just eerie. So maybe there's that. And I'm not making excuses for him. I'm just saying maybe there's that. I'm on about for all fighters. Fighters have to deal with this situation. I don't know anything about the weight. I don't know. 16 months, obviously, he's been out. But it's not even that. Round one, it's about decisions, I think. Round one, he came out and he started slinging. He started standing in front, being aggressive with the Mexican. There were two things that we said about Lara going in. One was that apparently he's very heavy-handed. And the other one is he's tough. So if he's heavy-handed and he's tough, but then you look at him and his fights, you look at him on the pads and his workouts, he's got terrible feet. He's not a great boxer. He's very tough and he can punch. So if you stand right in front of him, throwing 4 and 5 punches at a time with him, you know a Mexican's going to punch with you. You're giving him a chance. You're boxing to his assets. You're boxing in a way that allows him to use his assets. If Warrington had got on his back foot and just boxed and been a bit smart, then would he be able to outbox Lara to stop Lara from using his assets? Yes, I think so. And then it's a different fight. But he's been out for 16 months. The Leeds warrior and all that lot mentality, wanting to please the fans and things like that. Maybe just wanted, and also taking him lightly, thinking like everybody else did going into the fight. Nobody said before the fight he's a killer. Nobody's said before the fight this guy's, the next one coming through out of Mexico. They was all slating the fight, saying it's wrong. It's out of road. He shouldn't be fighting him. It's disgusting. Rah, rah, rah. So maybe he's kind of thought that subconsciously and thought, I can just go in there and put on a show. And it's fucked up. And that's how it can be in boxing. These Mexicans and fighters like that are brought up the hard way and they're built differently to us. They're built differently to us just to survive. But yeah, just to survive, they're built differently to us. So to fight them in their way, that's what they want. That's what they want. And you could never bet against a Mexican warrior in a fight. It's very, very dangerous to stand there and fight with him. You have to be smart. Even if you exchange, you have to be smart in the exchanges. But I just thought Warrington was reckless and he didn't think, even when he was getting clipped in the first 2 rounds in the exchanges, he didn't then think, do you know what? Fuck this. I'm gonna be a little bit smarter now. Because I thought after the first round, I said it to Eddie I was sat next to, and I said to him, I expect now he's gonna get a bollocking off his dad and you'll go out and you'll box now. And after a couple of rounds, I was like, okay, all right, Josh, we've had whatever happens now, we've had a good little fight. Get boxing now. Because you could see this was dangerous. And these Mexicans, they don't care if they're losing the fight. If they're hitting something, they're going back proud that this is what they want. This is they feel like they're in it. And so he paid the price. And that's what I think went wrong. Obviously, whether or not all these other mitigating circumstances, yes, they might have played a part, but ultimately he made the wrong decisions in there. It's like what I've said about Jordan when Jordan fought Tinoco. He wasn't right. There was other things that were going off, but when the bell went, he made the wrong decisions. He chose to stand and start firing with Mexican. Big mistake.
Just final one on that, Dave. Eddie's spoken about a rematch, depending how Josh feels. But the nature where Josh is in his career and his age, if he's your fighter, do you put him back in a rematch with someone like that? Or do you say, you know what, let's just go and get the big paydays now, Josh. You've become a world champion. You've beat some great fighters. Let's go and get those big fights.
Depends what's out there for him. Depends what they can, has that damaged his marketability, the finances for the big fights? Has that damaged how, the other fighters look at him and say, well, we don't need Josh Warrington? Or do they actually now think, well, now you can see that you can get beat. Yeah, I'll fight him. It might open up a door for him. You don't know. Look at it. I still say Warrington wants to take that rematch. I still say Warrington boxes smart. Warrington beats him. Still the same fighter. You can't, you can't all of a sudden talk about Lara being Superman. Look, where was that energy before the fight? Everyone was saying he weren't very good. Just strong. That's it. Heavy-handed, tough, hungry fighter. That's it. Take those elements away from him, and then he's still the same fighter. Yes, he'll be more confident now, but I don't particularly feel as though he wasn't confident going in the first place. But if Josh Warrington were to be smart, I would put my money on Warrington to beat him in a rematch. But will he be able to get a better, bigger fight now at this stage? Obviously, he was talking about coming towards the end of his career. He was talking about the finishing line before this fight. I believe he's a lot closer to it now after that fight as well. So it's about what they want, what they think's best for him next.
Okay, all right, Dave. Thank you for giving me a little bit of time. I know you're in the bubble.
Cheers.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
You've got Jordan on Saturday night on a great card. Top of the bill, Avanesian and Josh Kelly. So the reason I haven't discussed that, in case people are wondering, is because obviously the guys are there in the bubble, so they'll touch base with you face to face. Dave Cole, it was a pleasure. Take care, and we'll catch up with you soon.
And you.
Dave Cole,
cheers, Matt.
Thank you very much.